You don't need to like your coworkers. You don't have to be best friends with your coworkers, but ignoring them will cost you a lot. And you miss out on leverage, promotions, you overwork yourself and leave money on the table. And I get it. People avoid coworkers because of boundaries, fear of gossip, or wanting to be professional. And we can even start layering in once you start adding race, class, gender into the mix. There are lots of reasons to say, hey, I'm just going to keep it simple and get out of here. But the irony is that isolation hurts you more than it protects you, or it can. And I just want to share this quick story with you as to how it's impacted me and how it can also impact you and benefit you in the long run. I worked at a company where I worked really closely with someone, and we were one of one, meaning that I was the only person in my role. She was the only person in her role. But our roles were true collaborations. We had to work together to get our jobs done. So I saw that she was overwhelmed because there were a lot of clients coming in, and since she was the only person doing it, it was a lot. So I was like, hey, it's not a bad skill to learn. I'll learn it. So I started shadowing her and then slowly but surely started picking up some of the work that she was doing, which really helped my skill set and also helped her. So one day she says she's leaving. She got a better opportunity and so she's out. So obviously cool. Like we're here to get the better, right? It's not necessarily about staying at some place that's not paying you your worth, right? So she's about to dip and we hop on a call and she's very transparent, right? She shares context around why she's leaving, some of the gaps that she sees in the current company. She shares things around, how do you advocate yourself? Because we all know that when someone leaves, you get more work, but that always doesn't equate to more money. So she's like, well, if you do have this conversation, here's some things to think about. Here is a salary band to think about, et cetera, et cetera. And here's some other options to think about compensation, which was really helpful because I didn't know some of them. And hearing her talk about it and break it down, I was like, oh, this makes sense. And it gives me different options. Because I think where I get lost a bit sometimes, and I think a lot of people get lost with negotiation, is that sometimes we think that negotiation is one thing. It's we need the salary or else. But negotiation and compensation is really about coming to the table and understanding what both people can offer. So it's not always going to be a monetary amount in terms of the salary. It could be in terms of a bonus. It could be in terms of vacation. I'll find it and link it in the description. But there's this woman slash organization that has a list of maybe she's increased it, but 75 things you can negotiate for, and it covers so much. So I'll link it in there. So she shares that and some other things just to look out for and how to set myself up for success. Then a few days later, a coworker out of the blue put some time on my calendar and she was like, hey, I know this person is leaving and by default, you're probably going to get all their work. And based on my experience, I've been at this company for X number of years and I've gone through the promotion cycles, the giving me more work, et cetera, et cetera. This is how I would think about going forward, how to advocate for yourself to make sure that the work that's being put on your plate does not equal to just more work, more stress, no compensation, no title change, no nothing. So I want to just shout out those two people because my coworker who was leaving did not have to share what they were sharing. They could have just shared their transition plan. Here are the documents you need. Be well. They did not have to share the politics of the situation. They did not have to share salary. They did not have to share other options. My other coworker did not have to put time on my calendar and say, here's my experience. Let me help you out. I won't get into the dynamics of it all, but one of them is a person of color. So it was helpful to hear their perspective, and another person is not. So that was really helpful to hear both sides and see, okay, how then do I navigate it for myself? And I want to call this out explicitly. None of this support came from leadership. None of this came from policy docs. It came from coworkers who have lived through it. In fact, leadership just told me, take it on, it'll be a skill building. Excuse me? What do you mean to? First of all, I've already skill built. I actually did that work before. I've already proven to you I can do the work. You've already written it in my performance reviews that I've taken on this work. I've done the free labor. to prove to myself and to you that I can do this work. So, like, let's be for real right now. So, I just want to point out that leadership's interest is to save the company money, not to promote you, right? Your coworkers, they may not be your best friends, they might not be your friends, but they understand the same boat you're in. And this information that both of them shared with me materially changed the way that I then approached this conversation, how I advocated for myself. So again, I just want to stress that has nothing to do with me necessarily being friends with them, but it does give me professional intelligence that helped me in that space. And the reason why it's really important to be friendly with your coworkers, and because I consider myself an introvert, I consider myself someone who like very much likes to be in my own space and in my own head. So I do not lean into, oh my gosh, let me make all these relationships. But I do try to be friendly, be professional, ask about things. So in situations like this, neither of them had to share what they had to share, but because we had a friendly rapport, they did. And the reason why this is important, because your real life friends, family, whoever, they don't understand the real rules. And what I mean by this is that are there universal rules about corporate that you can learn and people can share with you? Yes. But every single company, every single team has their own dynamics and time and place. So even if someone who worked at that company, I don't know, 5 years prior, even if I went to them and asked them for advice, they could probably give me some tangible advice, but they do not know the current situation right now. So the people who you're working with right now are your best assets. They understand the real rules, not the handbook rules, the actual ones. And they've already paid the cost. They've already had the failed negotiations. They've already had the ignored requests. They've already had the political landmines. So by befriending them, you get the lessons without the scars, or you just create different scars because we're always learning and evolving. But why go through the same pain someone else went through when you can get that information? And also, they see what you can't see. They see patterns across teams based on their own lived experience and their time there. They know the leadership tells, oh, this person said this is actually what it means. Oh, they're doing this is what that means, right? And one person, even in another conversation, was like, oh, well, did you hear this person said X, Y, Z? So even though they haven't announced it in the company, this is probably where the company is going. Gold, right? So people see and hear what you don't pick up on right away. They can pick up on timing, unspoken ceilings. They can pick up on that and share that with you. And I just want to reiterate, your personal life cannot replace this insight. Your partner loves you, but they are not at that job. They might know all the tea, but they're not at that job. Your friends support you, but they do not know the dependencies. And advice without context is just vibes. Most career advice fails because it's abstract. However, coworker advice is situational. So I just want to give a few more examples before I end this. Some ways that coworkers can be supportive as you're trying to navigate corporate is compensation reality checks. What's negotiable versus what's theater? When to ask, when to wait, when to document. All important. Oh my gosh, and even the documentation, another coworker shared their story with me, right? So and that one, I will say this is why it's really important to join groups, affinity groups. There are ERGs and all these groups for a reason, and they offer mentorship, they offer advice. There's gold in affinity. So make make use of it. They can also support you with workload boundary setting. You can hear from others, how do they push back without being labeled difficult? How do they set boundaries internally or with clients? What language does leadership respond to? That's really helpful. Role clarity. What work actually leads to promotion versus what work is invisible labor? Political navigation. Who influences decisions? Who blocks them quietly? Who to keep informed even if they're not your manager, right? Who do you send that email to? Who do you hit up on Slack once in a while? Who is the one that may not say much in a meeting, but actually they actually hold a lot of weight and they will be make or break your promotion cycles, right? So those people you need to be aware of. And then career timing, when internal moves are actually realistic and when staying longer actively hurts you. These are all conversations that only your coworkers can really help you with. And I'm not saying they will give you the answer or whatever they tell you is the right thing necessarily and what you must consider the end all be all, but it's a richer conversation because they're there with you. And there's a space to suss out who am I speaking to who has their own interests in this? Why are they telling me this information? Is it because they have their own things that they want to advance? Is it because they're literally looking out for me? Obviously, understand those politics that you're playing with as well. And none of this requires some deep intimacy. It pretty much requires respect, curiosity, and humility. So leaning into that will help you light years. And I think people worry that asking questions makes them look weak or strategic in a bad way. And I will say not asking makes you easier to exploit. And silence gets interpreted as consent. Or your coworkers who might be thinking the same things might see you as, for lack of a better word, the ops. They're like, oh, this person is drinking the Kool-Aid, they're with it. And they may not share the information that you need. And again, this is not meaning that everything they share with you, you take and run with it, but why not give yourself more data to make better decisions? Companies share information asymmetrically, right? Meaning that it's not you're not going to get all the information you need sitting in all hands. There's a lot of reading in between the lines. It's a lot of talking to people to figure it out. Coworkers are one of the only ways to rebalance that. So again, you don't need work besties, but you do need work data. And usually when careers stall, it's not because people lack talent, they stall because people don't ask. This is the work I do with folks who are looking to go to the next level, make relationships with people, and really navigate this portfolio career that we're in. So if you're looking for more of this knowledge, definitely subscribe for more. I'm here every single day. If you would like to work one-on-one, reach out to me. I'll see you tomorrow.